Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So let's jump right back in. There are as many types of ships as there are birds. The book had different ship models on each page with articles on their history. A long boat with countless paddles sticking out of its walls like legs of a caterpillar. Then a ship with a thick mast and a huge sail casting a shadow on its deck. A ship with a chimney on top, wisps of smoke rising from it towards the sky. The old man's wrinkled hands turned one page after the other. Ships have evolved with time, much like everything else, always striving for the most effective way to travel over water. Paddling eventually evolved into sails and wind power, which, in turn, paved the way for steam engines and eventually propellers. The model over there is a steamship, right? Yes. You don't see them much anymore. Really? Most of the passenger ships have diesel engines these days. Steamships went out of fashion over half a century ago. This 5-story floating hotel cruise is a diesel ship, for example. He pointed at one of the pictures in the book. It looks like a whole city floating on the water. We might not have castles in the sky just yet, but I guess we do have some on water. Crossing the ocean on water became unpractical with the development of the jet engine and the oil crisis following the war. Most of the passenger ships these days are cruises, where being on a ship is the main attraction rather than reaching your destination. They have restaurants, bars, even movie theaters on board. I think I saw one of those on TV. This one with the chimney sticking out is a steamship. Like Titanic? That's the most famous steamship, I suppose. It comes from the period right before the war. It's the very pinnacle of steamship history. Back in those days, they still made them with the intent to cross the ocean. Is this one with wheels also a steamship? I pointed at the picture of a ship with huge funny-looking wheels. This one is called a paddle steamer, one of the earlier steamships. Perry's flagship, which came to Japan during the Perry expedition, was just like it. There are also some paddle steamers that have their turbines in the back, like this one. He flipped the page. So ships with sails went out of fashion even before those? They served as the primary means of transport until the 19th century, when steamships were invented in Europe. He went a few pages back. As you can see, they utilize wind to propel themselves forward. They've been in use throughout the entirety of the Age of Exploration, and have evolved in many ways in their own right. If you look carefully, you can notice that the positions and shapes of the sails are different depending on the period, and sometimes even the country in question. He showed me a page with lots of ship pictures on on a world map. Is this the Santa Maria? You could say that in a way. It's a sailboat with 3 masts, which is the same model as the Santa Maria that Columbus used to cross the Atlantic Ocean. I gave the steamship model behind the counter another look. After finishing my light meal, I took out some change from the pocket of my jacket that I hanged on the back seat of my chair. Or backrest of my chair, sorry. Thank you. It was my pleasure. Are you going to the port now? I don't know. I guess I'll think about it after I see how cold it is outside, I answered while sliding my hands into the sleeves of my jacket. Thanks for all the information, by the way. I had fun. I should be the one thanking you. I don't get many opportunities to talk to young women in this place at my age. Don't hesitate to pay our establishment another visit if you feel like it. I'll think about it. With that, I left the place and stepped out into the poorly lit shopping district. There were even more closed shutters now compared to when I entered the cafe. I thought about visiting the port, but then changed my mind and went straight to the hotel instead. The shower I hoped would help wake me up felt like a tropical downpour, even after the slightest turn of the handle. I promptly washed my sweat off, then wrapped myself in a towel. Freshly reinvigorated, I left the bathroom with steady steps and finished the can of beer I had left on the table. It tasted like warm, bitter water. As I closed my eyes and began wiping my hair with the towel resting on my shoulders, a blue light slowly extended along the inner side of my eyelids. Have a good day. A cold gust of wind rattled the collar of my coat as I stepped out of the hotel. I left the still fairly deserted shopping district and continued down to a barber shop I saw by the park. A young woman with glasses seemed to be in the process of opening the shutters and setting up the signboard of the establishment. Our eyes met. "Good morning!" The woman made a curt bow. "Are you open?" "Yes, just moments ago." "Do come inside." She opened the glass door with the tall Pachira houseplant right next to it, and urged me inside. There was only a single chair in the classical Western interior. "I can hang your coat for you." I took off my coat and handed it to her. As soon as I seated myself in the chair, she spun it so that I'd be facing the mirror. "What would you like?" I slipped my arms through the sheet protecting me from stray locks of hair while she fiddled with the chair to raise me up. "Just a regular haircut. Oh, and some shampooing as well." "Okay. What kind of haircut would you like? Do you wish to consult our catalog?" "No, I'm fine with what I have. Just make it a few centimeters shorter." I pointed at the length I wanted my hair to be. "Understood. I'll undo your hair then." I nodded, and she removed my hair clip and placed it on the cabinet. I felt my head being pulled backwards as she brushed my hair. I closed my eyes and inhaled a breath. However, I was suddenly pulled out of my slumber by the chirping of some bird. I opened my eyes and looked at the mirror to see a bird cage by the register, with a red parrot cocking its head within. The barber sprinkled and brushed my hair with experienced motions. She was about to place the scissors against my head when our eyes met in the mirror. She made a few exaggerated blinks like a character from some Western cartoon. "Is this how long you would like it?" "Yeah, that's about right." The narrow room held a register, a sofa, a chair, and a mirror for cutting hair, a cabinet, and the usual barber items inside, and an indoor plant. Glancing around, I also spotted a small old TV to my right, near the ceiling. I could see the reflection of my face on its dark screen. Could you please not move your head?" "Oh, sorry." "Would you like me to turn on the TV?" "As you can see, it's pretty old, so I can't vouch for the quality of the screen." "Oh, that's okay. I don't really want to watch TV." I heard a sharp slicing sound, after which a lock of my hair fell onto my knees. "You have nice hair." "You think so?" "You must spend a lot of time maintaining it." I could feel the sheet on my shoulders getting heavier as my hair gradually piled up on it, with each new slice from the barber's scissors. "Do you come from the city?" "You can tell?" "I can more or less tell from the way you're dressed. That coat was brand new, wasn't it? And it's from a minor brand, too. You won't find things like that around here." "You're probably right. They said something along those lines in the store, I think. You're pretty knowledgeable about these things, aren't you?" "You could say it's a hobby of mine." "Oh? Do you work alone in this shop?" "Yes. I used to work at Harajuku." "Whoa! Isn't that like the hotbed of the industry?" The barber let out an embarrassed laugh. "Well, things have changed. At one point, we had a barber boom of boob. I am messing this up so much. We had a barber boom of sorts and accepted lots of jobs, but most people these days seem to prefer cheaper options located closer to the homes, As you might imagine, the whole thing kind of faded out over time. And now you're back here in the countryside? Yes, but I'm glad that I made that choice. I get customers just because I have a reputation of having worked in a big city. I saved up some money during those days, so I had no problem establishing my own shop over here. Yeah, that sounds pretty nice. Where are you from? I'm from Kyushu, actually. I see. I've never been there myself. My hometown is famous for its hot springs. Oh, that sounds nice! We also had a port, not unlike the one in this town. After leaving the barber shop, I looked around the shopping district, buying a few things here and there, then boarded my car to drive back to the clinic. The port town, visible beyond the trees covering the mountain, grew smaller and smaller in the distance as I continued down the unpaved road. My car shook with every hole I drove over. I stopped by the observation platform I spotted next to the road. I took my can of coffee, climbed onto the platform, and took a quick sip after sitting down on the bench there. I could see the entire port town. I took another sip while observing its architecture from the distance. I let out a breath and gave the scenery another scrutinizing look. It was made better than I'd expected. I couldn't spot any disparities between it and the road I took to Fujisaka Mansion. There was not a single detail wrong with the town either. The shopping district's arch and the sudden breakwater just outside it by the ferry boarding platform looked suspiciously like my hometown. A certain phrase popped into my mind as I compared the two sides. A world slowly dying to preserve her life. Sachiko said that Takako's imagination exceeded hers by a wide margin. However, I didn't feel like that was true. I didn't know the extent of Takako's world, but I simply couldn't imagine it being even more detailed than this. This world could extend indefinitely, like a sponge constantly absorbing all sorts of different values and thoughts without discrimination. And that meant I could finish my job here without worries. I took out a few pieces of paper from my jacket's pocket. The way to the clinic was scrawled on one of them. I wrote that one down before coming here. The others were pages of a diary. Her memories. Memories I had to preserve. I imagined Sachiko sitting on the stool in the lobby. Oh, that's where the missing pages went. I saw a mansion through the leaves covering the mountain road. Upon reaching the black iron fence, I passed through the red brick gates. There was a sign reading Kunigahara Sanatorium on them. I parked my car by the mansion and turned off the engine. I stepped out of the car and continued towards the entrance. The mansion was built of gray and red bricks, its windows and doors boasting sturdy wooden frames. It looked very much like the mansion Sachiko stayed at, but in terms of design, it was an even older structure. Its front doors were open. I could see the lobby and the counter from outside. I pressed the call button on the counter, or the call bell on the counter. A stringent sound reverberated across the lobby, but I received no reply. Is nobody here? Someone glanced at me through the door window on the other end of the lobby. Our eyes met. The person disappeared, or after our eyes met, the person disappeared. I hurried to the door. Excuse me, guys. I opened it to find myself in the inner yard of the building. There was a tall, Persea tree in the middle. I spotted the back of a woman with braided hair moving toward the west wing. "Oh, are you a guest?" Hearing a voice from above made me turn around. When I did, I saw a woman in a nurse outfit looking at me through the guardrails on the building's roof. "I'm sorry. I rang your bell, but no one came, so..." "My apologies. I'll be down in a minute." She let go of the guardrails and disappeared, but then her head popped up again. "You can wait in the lobby." "All right." I returned to the lobby and checked the clock. It seemed to be around noon. In winter. The glass panel covering its pendulum reflected my face. I fiddled with my bangs for a while. When I straightened my back, I felt a sharp pain in my neck. When I slid my hand underneath my scarf, I found a piece of hair sticking to my neck. "Sorry to have kept you waiting." The young woman in the nurse outfit appeared in the lobby. "Hello." "Hello. I'm Mayuko. I work here as a nurse." "I'm Narasaki Hibiki." "What brings you here?" "I came to visit a patient." "Just one moment." The nurse, calling herself Mayuko, moved behind the counter and took out a form and a pen from the drawer. "Please fill this out." The paper she placed on the counter had columns made for time periods and patient names. I placed the present I bought on my way here on the counter, then took the pen from her and filled out the form with the information she wanted. Mayuko took my form and ran her eyes through it. Are you a friend or a family member?" "No, I was merely asked to check on her by our mutual acquaintance. And this is just a little something I brought." I lifted the paper bag I'd placed on the counter. "I see." Mayuko returned the form to its drawer and moved out of the counter. "Follow me. I'll show you to her room." She passed by me and continued up the spiral staircase. The walls along the stairway were lined with small paintings. I peeked through a window on our way and spotted a camphor tree in the inner yard. Mayuko stole a glance at me, probably curious as to why I was looking around so much. "You have a pretty scenic place here." I made up something on the spot. "It used to be the mansion of a rich family before being turned into a sanatorium." It was almost identical to the Fujisaki mansion Sachiko stayed at. Mayuko stopped in front of one of the rooms and knocked on the door. A dull wooden sound reverberated in the hallway. "Takako, you have a visitor." Mayuko then seized the doorknob and opened the door. It wasn't locked, apparently. "I'm coming in." I followed her into the room. The room itself was it only had a bed and a single shelf. Takako didn't seem to be around, though. She forgot to close her window again," Mayuko mumbled as she closed the window. "It doesn't look like she's around." Wait, no, whoops. It doesn't look like she's around. "Yes. Can I wait here?" "Of course, but we have other patients here, so I would kindly ask you not to wander around wander outside if possible." "Don't worry, I'll read a book or something." Mayuko began walking to the door. "I'll tell her you're here if I manage to find her." I nodded. "You should be able to find me in the lobby or the inner yard if there's anything you need. The door opposite to the entrance leads to it." "I'll keep that in mind." "I'll be on my way then." Mayuko smiled and left the room. Left alone, I slowly surveyed my surroundings. It really was an empty room. I glanced at the shelf and spotted something shining on it. Upon approaching the shelf, I realized they were colored glass beads reflecting the light of the evening sun. I shifted my gaze to the rest of the shelf. It was filled with books and notebooks. The notebooks were probably Takako's diaries. I got curious about what they might contain, but considering how awkward it would have been if Takako came back as I was reading one, I decided against touching them for now. Sitting down on the bed, I looked out the window, specifically at the sky above the port. The clock in the lobby pointed at around the children's napping time. Purple and pink colors extended and merged on the sky, giving it the feel of a watercolor canvas. I placed my hands between my legs and joined my fingers. If I'd get any more comfortable, I feared I might fall asleep. It was a heavy and unforgiving sleepiness. I would most likely have lost consciousness if I so much as closed my eyes. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!